So, hello all. Welcome to this series of fan engagement where we are trying to talk to some of the passionate IPL fans and trying to understand their motivation of following a particular IPL franchise so passionately. So, in this series, today we have Kabir Goel with us. So, he's from Ajmer, Rajasthan, and he has been a passionate IPL and Rajasthan Royals fan since 2009. And one of the special things about Kabir is that he is part of Rajasthan Royals official spokesperson group, which is the Super Royals group. And so he can tell more insights about Rajasthan Royals and how passionate he is about Rajasthan Royals. So without any further delay, let me ask you the first question. So what was it that made you a passionate fan of Rajasthan Royals in 2009?
Okay, all right. In 2009, I was just like 3 or 4 years old. I wasn't that old. So yeah, I couldn't even like pronounce the word cricket, like far from knowing what it is. So actually, what happened was my father, he had got, of course, he won the first season in 2008. So my father had gotten a CD documentary of that first RR season. So I used to watch that and I just loved it. I couldn't understand what was going on, but for some reason I just loved it. So yeah, I used to watch that documentary again and again. And yeah, I think that was where my passion for RR started.
Right, right. So in 2009, when you started following RR so passionately, who was your favorite cricketer back then? Was it Shane Warne, Shane Watson, or someone else?
Okay, so back then, like I was very small, so
Right.
I don't think I really had a favorite cricketer, but I definitely like to watch Shane Watson, Shane Warne, and yeah, those guys. Yeah, I probably Shane Warne would be my favorite cricketer. And watching him, I started to bowl leg spin. Like I used to bowl leg spin when I was that age. So yeah, probably I used to look at him, and of course the way he used to lead the team with his aggression and everything, I just loved it. So yeah.
Right. So you have a special connect with Rajasthan because you are from Ajmer, Rajasthan. So is it one of the reasons that since you are from Rajasthan, you started following RR team, or or is it not, or is it just a coincidence?
No, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that's one of the reasons because basically my father used to support RR in the first season. He supported RR, and we live in Rajasthan. So I was always going to support Rajasthan. I knew this. I couldn't support any other team. I don't even want to.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, it has something to do with it. And also, I think that you should always support your local teams if you have one, because I see a lot of my friends, they support CSK, MI, RCB, and I don't really like that because if you have a local team, then I think you should support it, and that's basically how a league should work. So yeah, I always support Rajasthan Royals, and I always will.
Right, right. So, as a RR fan, do you think RR has capitalized the local Rajasthan market or local fans very nicely? Because many fans see RR as a team which is over reliant on their overseas players, not much on Indian players.
Yes, I agree. RR hasn't really capitalized on their local fan base too much, and that's why I said like most of my friends, most of the people who live in Rajasthan do not support RR because, and that isn't the case with even a team like SRH who doesn't have too many Indian superstars. I mean, they don't have like a Kohli or a Dhoni,
Right.
but still their local fan base, at least all Hyderabadis, I believe they do support SRH, but that's not the case with RR. So I think they could, yeah, they should run some Rajasthani campaigns, or at least buy like some great Rajasthani players. For example, Ravi Bishnoi or the Chahar brothers, the
Right.
Deepak
Right.
Chahar, Rahul Chahar, they like the ambassadors of our Rajasthan cricket at this point. So yeah, I think they can definitely do much more.
Right. Right. So, how important is the team's performance to you as a fan? because since 2009 RR hasn't won a single cup. So the only cup that came was in back in 2008.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, the team's performance does not really matter to me that much because, of course, if the team's performance mattered, then that isn't really a fan relationship, because then you have a relationship with the trophy, you have the relationship with the success, the feeling of success. I think you should support a team no matter what happens, and that's how a good fan or team relationship is created. And like you have to suffer, you have to suffer to get the true joy of success. If you keep winning all the time, then I don't think that's a true bond.
Right, right. So, do you feel that there is a two-way connection between you and RR, because RR also reciprocates and RR also gave you this kind of platform, the Super Royals platform, to showcase your talent and your voice. So, do you feel that there is a two-way connect between you and RR, and this is not there with you and other franchisees?
Yes, yes, of course. Like RR, this Super Rolls campaign was just a blessing, and I mean, I'm very grateful to RR that they recognized me from so many fans. They picked me to be a part of this campaign, and of course, like it's of course a big deal. It means a lot to me, and yeah, it's definitely two-way the relationship now.
Right, right. So, so RR, we can break it down into two parts. One, the Rahul Dravid era, where we saw that RR has nurtured so many Indian players, and players like Maneria, Yagnik, and all these players came during that era. And but right now, their focus has completely changed post the scandal. So, why do you think this is why do you think that this happened to RR? Because their template was going so well, so people were following RR because of the young talent that was coming out of it. So as a
Yeah,
fan,
I agree so
yeah,
much. Yeah, I mean that was one of the biggest thing that I liked about our the unearthing of young talent, and the whole team atmosphere that was created, the whole environment that was created. And but now after the ban, the whole strategy of the team seems to have changed. Like when when they went for Nathkat or Stokes in
right,
the 2018 auction, like something just didn't feel right. It's just the RR element just didn't
yes,
seem there at that auction table in 2018, and it hasn't come back since. So I just hope that they take a step back, they rethink what they've done in the past 3 years after the mega auction, and they try to now go back to the golden days of 2008, or till 2015, that the tag that we had of like bringing in new talents. Like I would uh, love to get that tag back, even at the cost of like an IPL trophy. I would appreciate that tag of getting talents more than the IPL trophy even.
right, right. But right now also we see that there are a lot of youngsters who are coming out of RR. Someone like Karthik Tyagi this season, or Rian Parag in the last season. So how do you think that, so maybe RR is not able to brand or market these things properly, like the way they used to do in pre the scandal era till 2015? Do you think there is a marketing issue with RR right now?
I don't really think so, because in marketing terms, RR is probably the best franchise right now. In social media terms, like the
Right,
Twitter admin is just he's just brilliant, very witty, and very prompt to uh, make any situation like very funny, put memes on anything. So, social media wise, I think RR is really at the top of their game right now. But yes, I think that's right too on some level, because most of their campaigns revolve around the overseas, the
right.
big four, and Sanju Samson. Maybe you could add to that, and now Rahul Tewatia. But maybe they could do more stuff with Kartik Tyagi, Riyan Parag, and I think Yashasvi Jaiswal this season was heavily underutilized, both as a player and as a marketing product. He was
Right.
both like severely underutilized in both ways, and I think they should uh, they should think about what happened with him this season.
Right, right. So talking about their social media campaigns and all, so there are two hashtags that are very popular among RR fans. First is Halla Bol and other is Royals family. So can you describe what kind of emotions that these two hashtags carry for you as a fan?
Okay. So Halla Bol has been there since the start. Halla Bol has been our tagline.
Right,
Like teams have changed their taglines like n number of times, but we've always stuck with Halla Bol, and it's basically our identity at this point, and it really resonates with the fans. Like, not it doesn't really resonate with the team Halla Bulls. They're not. RR is not necessarily a very attacking team, very flamboyant team. That's not necessarily what we are. But still, it represents the team in some sort of way that can't really be explained, but it's just connected with the team now, and I know it's great. We shouldn't remove it at all.
right,
And Royals family, on the other hand, it's a new hashtag. I think they thought of it after the 2018 season.
right,
And yeah, I think for a secondary hashtag, I think it's great because on RR also has the other side, the charitable side and the trustworthy sort of side. They have an RR foundation.
right.
They've built a charitable wing. So uh, that really represents that side of RR very well. And I think it's a great one, but it can't be compared with Hallabo. That's the main tagline.
Right, right. I agree with that. So we were talking about the charitable side of RR. So this season they have done tremendous stuff by bringing in a female hygiene partner as one of their sponsors. So can you tell something about that? So as a male fan, how did you feel? So how did you feel more attached towards the brand?
Yes. Okay. So RR always has had this image of being just a good sort of organization, and they really carried it forward this season with this partnership. Like for every run they scored, they provided sanitary napkins to some amount of girls. I think something was there, and I think it was just absolutely brilliant. And lot of people appreciated this step. Even people who are not RR fans, of course, they appreciated this, and I think it was a great step. And probably they weren't able to get as much money out of it,
Right.
so giving up money for raising awareness and doing this sort of charitable thing is like a great act, and of course I respect them a lot for it, and that's why I love the team.
Right. So, do you think that this campaigning was done with Robin Uthappa's face and some other Indian players' face? But if so, RR, since the main four were missing in this campaign, the overseas players were missing in this campaign as a main face. So, do you think that impacted the kind of impact that this campaign should have had?
No, I don't necessarily think so because they took, I think in that video they had Robin Uthappa, David Miller, Josh Butler, and Rahul Tewatia. So
Yes.
these are four completely different people, completely from different countries, different ages, different everything is different about them. So I think the mix that they had gave quite a good uh, outlook to the video and the whole campaign. So and if again they would have gone for the big four, I don't think it would have had the same reach because they're all overseas players, and Nine is an Indian company, I believe. So I think it wouldn't have had the same. It wouldn't have resonated with the people the same way.
Right, right. Talking about resonance. So RR is one of those franchisees which is led by an overseas player. So do you think that the connect is more when an Indian player leads the franchise as compared to an overseas players? because Indian fans want to see Indian leaders more in Indian Premier League.
Yes, exactly. I'm a big follower of this philosophy. So I think that Steve Smith. I don't think that Steve Smith should be the captain. And next season, if I was in the RR camp, I'd definitely look to bring in a young Indian captain or whoever. But I think he should be Indian, preferably. Or even if the captain is foreign, for example, David Warner. He is a foreigner, but I don't think the SRH fans feel any less connected to him because he tries to be a part of their community. He tries to make himself be a part of them. So if Steve Smith, then again, I don't think that's his personality. So if
Right,
they can find somebody like that, somebody like David Warner, who can mingle with the fans, basically, so that would be fine. But Steve Smith, I don't even think he commands his place in the side as a player. So yeah, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of him.
right, right, right. So that's a controversial statement, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, no. I think so. The next question is, now when you have an Indian face, so talking about the brand, right? So right now you have a mix of overseas players as your brand. So even if one of the four overseas players leave the franchise, you still have some overseas players. But on the other hand, you only have Sanju Samson, who represents the Indian brand in the franchise. So once Samson leaves, so there is no one who can take that place. Do you think RR has somehow miscalculated or misjudged the situation?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Because we were never like that. We always brought in Indian players. We always had some Indian players, even though they were talents, youngsters, relatively unknown faces. But still, we always had somebody uh, performing as an Indian, somebody a higher level player as an Indian. But this season we didn't really have that. In the past 2 or 3 seasons, we haven't really had that. In the past 2 seasons, we had Ajinkya Rahane and Sanju Samson, and now even Rahane went away. So now we only have Sanju Samson. But next season is a mega auction, hopefully. So I hope they consider this and try to bid more for the Indian guys and leave the foreign players behind. Don't leave them behind, but
Right,
don't go all in for the biggest foreign players.
right. So there are two potential target areas of Rajasthan in, so I'm talking in terms of fan base. First is that northeast fan base, which is there because of Riyan Parag and that Bihu dance and that Assamese culture that Riyan Parag brings into the team. And other is the Rajasthani culture. So do you think somehow they are not able to mix these two and portray themselves as a team which can cater to the Rajasthani fans' needs, the northeast part of India's needs, and that the global essence of Australia and England? So somehow they are in the mix of everything and they are not able to concentrate on each aspect.
Yes, I think you've put it very well. That's exactly what's happening. Rajasthan, I don't think they do anything for Rajasthani culture, basically. I don't even think Rajasthani culture exists on that level, like Tamil culture, Hyderabadi culture. I don't think it exists that much. But maybe something they could have done. For the Northeast fan base, they are doing a lot. The players themselves, like the
Right,
BU dance, basically became the go-to celebration for the whole team. So that's great. We RR does not have the most number of fans, so if we can get fans by non-cricketing ways, that's always great. And as far as England and Australia goes, I think outside of India, RR may have one of the largest fan bases. In India, we
right,
don't have that, but outside of India, probably, especially in England, we do have a great fan base. So yeah, I don't think they do anything to get that. That's just because of the players that we have. And I don't think that we should do anything to increase that fan base. Probably for the Rajasthan, local Rajasthan fan base, they should do more for Rajasthanis than for England and Australia.
Right. So, do you think that the way David Warner capitalized his place in the team by integrating himself with that local culture and by making those TikTok videos, a similar kind of thing should have been done with the overseas players that Rajasthan Royals has? Because we have seen that in one of the matches. So just after that Ryan Parag's dance in the next match itself, Jofra Archer did a similar kind of step, and there was a lot of talk about it on Twitter. But RR didn't capitalize on that.
Yeah. Okay. So RR's overseas players don't seem like the kind to do that sort of thing. Like Steve Smith, Ben Stokes, Jofra Archer. On the field, he's a bit flamboyant, but off the field, he's very reserved, sort of serious characters, all of them. So I don't think that they would be able to even pull this sort of thing off. Yeah, I mean, RR could have nudged them a bit to do something like that, and that definitely would have helped the fans a lot.
Right.
But I don't think they have that within them to even do that sort of thing. Maybe if they could have done that, it would have been great. Maybe somebody like on the bench, Andrew Ty, he is a very like flamboyant sort of person. Maybe he could have done something. David Miller was again another person like Jaiswal who was severely underutilized both
Right.
as a player and as a marketing. Like he could have been better used.
Right. Right. So usually when a team has Caribbean players, they bring that kind of joy and that kind of party environment in the team where everyone is cheerful. So RR had O'Shane Thomas since last 2 seasons, but we didn't see a lot of buzz around him. The RR camp talking about him or him playing the games or his training videos and all. What do you think is the reason?
Again, the same thing. O'Shane Thomas is very quiet. I've seen a lot of his interviews and off the field sort of videos, and he's again a very quiet sort of person, very introverted. And maybe that's the kind of player that RR are looking for. Because O'Shane Thomas, I was looking at the test team, he doesn't even make like West Indies A. He doesn't even start for West Indies A. So there are a lot of different bowlers that RR could have gone for, but they went for Shane Thomas instead. So maybe that's the kind of player that RR were trying to get in their team. To they don't want to very out there people who are very out there. They want sort of reserved players, and that's hurting the fan base. But okay, whatever they want.
Right, right. So there is so one last question. So since you talked about what is hurting their fan base, so this is one of the point that one of my participants in the previous interviews, he mentioned that RR was his favorite team till they changed their jersey color from blue to pink. So as a fan, how do you react to this?
Okay, I think this is an unpopular opinion on my side, but I personally like the pink jersey because I know people like the target audience like men, they don't necessarily like pink, but I think it represents Jaipur, represents RR, I mean Rajasthan, and that's and it doesn't look too bad either. Like if you can open your mind up to it,
Right,
it
right,
doesn't look very bad. So and it represents the state, and that's basically what you want in a jersey, to represent where you're coming from and to have a bit of a good graphic as well. So I don't think it's that bad, but I think that they will change it now because RR very quick to changes. This RR after the 2018, after the ban, this
right.
new RR seems to be very reactionary, like very quick to changes. So I think they might say that pink was not never lucky for us, and let's go back to blue. I won't mind that either, but I don't mind pink either. I think it's great.
Right, right. So my last question to you is, so when we see RR as a franchise, so they have a local culture in terms of their jersey color, in terms of their slogans, and in terms of their social media campaigns, and that SMS stadium, the way it gets decorated and all. But you have a overseas brand ambassador, overseas captain, over reliance on overseas players, overseas head coach, and all. So, do you think that somehow they have missed the trick and they could not mix the local culture with the overseas culture?
Yes, I do. One of the major criticisms of this RR is always going to be that too much reliance on overseas. One of the only teams who has an overseas captain, overseas brand ambassador, everything. And like, okay, that all is fine. Shane Warne is of course our ambassador. I wouldn't say anything about that. But even our coach, Andrew McDonald, like he I don't know what credit he had to be appointed a coach of an IPL franchise. I mean, there were so many different candidates out there, not even foreign, like even Indian candidates, like maybe Doda Ganesh or uh, I don't know, Rahul Dravid, if he was free from under 19 duties. I don't think so, but he could have been a candidate. There were like so many options. I do not know why they had to go for Andrew McDonald. And yeah, they're definitely missing a trick there by having overseas people in all the leadership roles. Even though chief operating officer is Jake Lushmakram,
Right,
even he's a foreigner. So yeah, maybe next season they realize something. Even the owner, like
right,
I think I was the only team to have a foreign owner. Manoj Badal is there, but along with him, there's also Lachlan Murdoch. He's from
right,
New Zealand, and Shane Warne has some stake in the team. So yeah, RR is the probably the most overseas reliant franchise. I can't deny that, and I hope they try to do something about it, like start from the bottom, maybe less reliance on overseas players, and then move up to management, coaches, and then to owners. Maybe, let's see. I hope so. They do that.
right, right. So before we end this segment, so this is a last fan poll type of a question. So who do you think will win their title first? RCB, Delhi, or RR?
Oh, okay. I'll say RR. I'll say RR. Because if it's going to be a mega auction, everybody has an equal chance, and I want RR. But if it won't be a mega auction, then I'll say Delhi to give an unbiased opinion. But
Right.
uh, it probably will be a mega auction, so I'm going to go for RR.
Right, right. It was great talking to you. And even with so many disappointing points, you are still a passionate fan of RR and you have that kind of strong connect with RR. It is great to see that kind of connect that you have with RR. And the way you spoke about RRs, it shows that you have that two-way bonding with RR. So it was great talking to you, and I hope the viewers will like this video. Thank you so much for taking part in this.
Thank you. It was great talking to you.